we have the opportunity to meet Annette Bakker, that is the President, Chief Officer, Scientific Officer of the Children Tumor Foundation from the United States. Go ahead. Dr. Bakker nos dará las últimas novedades y las oportunidades desde el grupo americano del tumor, CTF, Children Tumor Foundation. I'm sorry. Y es un placer, no solamente, ya habéis visto, hemos tenido muchos ponentes europeos, pues poder tener también entre nosotros ponentes que vengan de Estados Unidos. Please.
I am very frustrated today. I thought speaking Italian I could understand Spanish, and no. But okay, I'll live with this, and I'm sorry that I take you away from a sangria with my scientific presentation.
Is this?
This sounds familiar. Okay, so who are we? We are a medical foundation, and I really choose the word investing because that's what we're doing. We're investing in neurofibromatosis. We have a project to raise about $65 million over the next 5 years, which is about $10 to $15 million every year. And most of that money comes from fundraising events. So the guys in the foundation are working extremely hard to make that happen. Our mission is 4 points. And first of all, we fund research and research worldwide. Good research. And people hear me say that if the guy from a tattoo shop in Los Angeles can cure NF, he'll get my money. We support patients and families. We foster best clinical care. And we expand awareness, and we also have a lobbying role to get access to other money which doesn't come to the foundation but does go to the NF community. And I offered my help to also talk to the European Commission one day. So when I look at CTF, and this is a very important slide for you, is that, I don't know if you see it, but you are part of the game. If you are not part of the game, we can't do anything for the patients. So we partner with all these different stakeholders that I call. We partner with the patients, we partner with academia, we partner with industry, and we also partner with other disease foundations. What can we learn from other disease foundations to accelerate identification of treatments for neurofibromatosis? So if I say when we partner with the patients, I just have a couple of slides to show you what we are actually doing. We identify 4 needs. Patients need support and patients need a community. And we see that community value very clearly. And John Neuropoulos, who is in the back of the room, he is coordinating all the community relations events. So we have walks, we have endurance events, racing for research. We organized family symposia. We have the NF registry, which is really important for multiple reasons. It's important to create a community that people can see that there are more people with the same condition as them. It is very important to run clinical trials because NF is still a rare condition. If we want to be able to run a clinical trial, we need to have people with very specific manifestations. And if we don't have enough patients, industry will say, go away. Very important. What I can tell you proudly is that since last week, and it's really done for this meeting, we have a Spanish registry. We are also investing in projects that have a direct impact on patients' lives. We educate patients, so we have a clinical program manager in the office who is on the phone with the patients and really explains them what the problems are. We have the necessary educational material. We also have Spanish brochures. And we have the National NF Forum, which is an educational moment. It's like what we have here today in Spain. We have the same kind of setting in the United States. The other thing that we have is to guarantee clinical support. There is Define the Doctor, and this is unfortunately US-centric only, but that doesn't mean it has to stay like that. And we have again the clinical trials where I come back to my registry. The Americans can't hear me talking about registry anymore. When they see me coming up and they hear registry, they go like, oh no, again. But okay, I think I can't insist enough how important it is. We partner with academia, and we do that on multiple aspects. So we identified that academia need 4 things also. They need tools, they need funding, they need help, and they need networking. They need tools, and therefore we have developed a couple of methodologies to make sure that researchers have access to material, to tissue, to be able to identify novel mechanisms. They have also the registry to understand how the disease evolves over time. And we have created data warehouses where we basically impose researchers to share their data between each other, to just accelerate discovery, and especially to accelerate the path from discovery to clinical benefit. Funding-wise, we're investing quite some millions every year in all kinds of different grant systems, from basic research to clinical research, with contract awards, with collaboration, and this one I'm really proud of, which is team science. We try to get people in the room who have very different backgrounds to make them work together and look at the problem together. We offer help, drug discovery services, data visualization services, I'll come to that in a second, and then networking-wise, we have the conference, we have workshops, and we have one-on-one connections. We make connections because we know who is doing what, because we get all the grants. So for the biobank, what we have today is, we started last year with a biobank specifically on dermal neurofibromas. Why? Because we were working with a plastic surgeon from New York who was throwing the dermal neurofibromas in the bin. So we went to talk to him and we started the dermal neurofibroma biobank. The idea of that biobank is that we collect tissue and we will pay for the complete characterization of this tissue. Those are very expensive endeavors, but that allows that you only have to pay once for the complete characterization, and then we throw it on internet and everybody can work with it. What we're doing now is we try to expand. We try to get other tumors in the biobank, because of course dermals is a problem, but there are other important problems in neurofibromatosis. So we try to activate and motivate other principal investigators to participate in the biobank. We want to absolutely make sure that everybody collects samples in exactly the same way, which is critical to be able to do big studies from different centers. We have now a contract with an American institution that will help us collect post-mortem tissues, and we need to involve patients. Patients need to speak up. Doctor, you're going to have surgery. Help me send a part of the tumor to a biobank, rather than put everything in the biobank of the university, and then it's sometimes difficult to get access to those tumors. The drug discovery toolbox. There the idea is that many people are developing very interesting, whether it is cell lines or animal models or anything that can help us understand and quickly identify potential treatments for Annette. Most of them are isolated in the academic labs. So what we try to do at the foundation now is we help people and we foster that they would share these animal models between each other so that we can go faster and everybody can have access to the animal models rather than only the lab who has made it. I go fast over it because it's just to give you a feeling of what we're doing. What we try to do funding-wise is we really try to balance between different funding opportunities. So we give out the money, but we give it out in different ways. So we fund basic science, as I said. We make sure that if things are really great, and we will read every report that comes back to the foundation. We're now a staff that can do that. If something is great and the funding stops, CTF will step in and we will keep funding that. We collaborate with academic institutions, and we have consortia science, Synodos, and the NF Therapeutics Consortium. The NF Therapeutics Consortium is a very important initiative that was launched a couple of years ago. And the idea there is to say, we put labs together who have animal models for NF. And then we go with the clinicians, we decide what are the best molecules, what are molecules that will be able to help our patients today. And that is exactly what is happening. So we have a pipeline of all molecules that go in and out these animal models, And in fact, what we have seen is that has informed quite some impressive number of clinical trials already, that it's not just a random molecule, but it's really tested before they go into the patient. Synodose. I don't want to whine too long about Synodose, but I love it. And the reason why I launched Synodose is because I look at an F just like a engineer looks at a machine. And basically, if you would go to the garage and you would say, my car is broken, it's not only the electrician of the garage that is going to look at your car. And I don't know anything about cars, but I suspect, I hope, that the electrician will look at my car, and the mechanic will look at my car, and yet another of these people will look at my car, and that at the end of the day, I will drive out of the garage with a repaired car. Well, that is what Synodose is. So we want to have the mechanic, and the electrician, and the electronic guy, and whatever other specialist. Everybody has to look at our car, our NF car, and that is why we are so proud that we have now that collaborative science, where we get these scientists into one room, and it's incredible. I was at that meeting. It's incredible to see that happen. We put the big carrot above the table, $2 million, $3 million, so big money. But we tell them that you can only participate if you share your data. You have to share your data between each other, which is interesting. We will help you. We will manage your project. We will police these guys. We will make sure that you are in time. When you say it's in April, you better be in April. We will help them get contracts. We will help them get molecules, material transfer agreements. And we will help them doing some necessary drug discovery stuff. As you can see, this is the most important thing. I can tell you, it works. And people like it. What's going to happen now is we're going to do more of those. Can't tell it yet, but we will do more. Pathway analysis. And this is, in fact, this is a complicated slide, and I'm sorry that I didn't have the time to prepare because I was informed of this 5 minutes before. But it's, in fact, the best way to explain the pathway analysis is that we have tables and tables and tables of cities. And sometimes it's very difficult to know which city is located where. Well, what we do in the foundation, we have a molecular biologist on staff who knows very good how to do big data analysis. Basically what she does is she takes that list of cities, she puts that in a database, and what you get out is a Google map. So that at the end of the day, you can see exactly where which city is. And you can also understand which city is connected to what. And then the next step is that once we have identified something that is really important for Annette, I have a medicinal chemist on staff who will say, well, this molecule is better, but this molecule is worse, and this molecule gets into the brain, but this doesn't. So that at the end of the day, we provide that service to the NF community, NF research community, saying, this is the molecular mechanism that you should be looking for, this is the molecule, and we have a patent attorney on staff who will go to the company and say, I want your molecule. Not evident, but we try. Partner of industry. One thing only. There's one thing we want. I'll pay for everything, for the preclinical testing, for the molecule, for everything. I have only one thing. I want the molecule to go to the patients if it works. Sounds logic, but companies sometimes have interesting. I've worked for 20 years in industry, and I know executive management in and out, unfortunately. So what is our contribution to industry? What do? We help them really in building. And I still remember me standing in 2004 in front of my executive management having to defend neuro-oncology. And my executive management had all these questions. Are you sure they're patients? Are you sure there's tissues? Are you sure that there is a mechanism? Are there any molecules? Is there any way we can ever test that molecule in anything before it goes into the patient? Is there a clinical trial network? Is there any way that we can get a clinician involved in this? Is there a way that we can ever get that to the federal, to the FDA or to the EMEA in Europe? So can we get that approved? And is there any way that we can make money out of in it? So basically what I'm doing, when I knock on the door of the industry partners now, when they tell me you don't have patients, I'm like, yeah, I have a registry. Are you the notary? I have to. So for every of those questions, I have the answer in my back pocket, and that helps a lot to convince industry, and we see the change, that industry partners are coming to us now and start to be interested in NF as an indication. So in summary, basically what we have been doing is we have been building a business model. We have looked at gaps. What is it that is missing? Because what we want and what you want is you want a treatment, and me too. We know that the patients are here. What we need to do is this wheel has to spin. We need to have tissue, we need to have molecular mechanisms, we need molecules, we need a system to test it in to be sure that it's safe and effective, and then it has to go back to the patient. So this wheel has to spin. And these are all the investments that the foundation has made up to now in order to make that wheel spin. Are we there? No. Will we be there? I believe in it. If not, I wouldn't be here. There is hope. We have delivered. There is about 30 drug trials today that have been informed by CTF-funded studies. And there is about 40 drug trials today that are ongoing. So a lot of that has been funded. I heard from my Spanish friend who is looking at NF data that 70% of the NF data was funded or co-funded by the foundation. We have the first team efforts that were ever initiated, and it works. The first NF data warehouse was designed, so now the data sit together and we will be able to, everybody will be able to look at that data. For the moment, it's in a secret place for the researchers to be able to analyze the data properly, but they know that in a year from now, the world can look at it. The first R&D services were launched. We have a global registry. We have a biobank, which will grow. We have the biggest NF gatherings that are organized and sponsored by the foundation. We have CTF funding. And we have also investments. And now I hope our European Commission colleagues are in the room. One of the things that we have been doing as a foundation is what we consider is we will help the researchers to get access to the big pot. And the big pot is the Department of Defense and the National Institute of Health. Those guys have a lot of money. So what we do is we will help the researchers to come to that point that they can get access to the big pot. And we funded the first market model. So to finally get you to that sangria, these are the scientists. So we have a medicinal chemist, we have a patent attorney, a molecular biologist, somebody who takes care of the patients, a genetic counselor, grant administration, a business person, and then we just hired a new, that's why she's on the bottom, we just hired a biomarker specialist. So that's us. Thank you.